Welcome back, Truth Seekers, to episode 7 of the Brown Panther's Call. If you're just joining us, here's the 411. We're on a wild ride exploring the signs of the Messiah's second coming, digging deep into Islamic prophecies while giving props to the Torah and Gospel for their shared truths. Last episode, we broke down the story of Al-Samri from Surah Taha in the Quran. We sifted through the verses and landed on some heavy truths. This Al-Samri dude popped up out of nowhere, sparked a massive scandal with the golden calf, then vanished just as fast after getting a divine no-touch pass and a promise of a future showdown he can't dodge. Today, before we dive deeper into unmasking the Dajjal, the ultimate Antichrist, we're gonna hit pause for a quick, no BS comparison to clear up two big things. First, we want to put every Christian or Jewish viewer at ease if they've stumbled across Samri or Al-Samri in the Bible and felt a little shook. Second, we're going to shut down any confusion for anyone who's read the Torah's version of the Israelites' Exodus and the golden calf drama. Trust me, there's probably some head-scratching going on. Let's kick things off with the Gospel. All right, truth seekers, let's unpack the gospel real quick. In Luke 10:30 through 37, Jesus drops a story about a guy traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho who gets jumped by robbers. They strip him, beat him, and leave him half dead. A priest rolls by, sees him, and keeps it moving. Same with a Levite. Sees the dude, doesn't stop. But then a Samaritan, just passing through, spots the guy and his heart breaks. He patches up the man's wounds with oil and wine, hoists him onto his donkey, and takes him to an inn, covering all the costs. The next day, he hands the innkeeper 2 denarii and says, "Look after him, and I'll cover any extra when I'm back." Jesus asks, who was the real neighbor? The answer? The one who showed mercy. Point is, this Samaritan's a good guy, but let's be clear. He's got zero connection to Al-Samri from the golden calf drama in Surah Taha. The Samaritans, as a group, didn't even show up until way after the calf incident. Here, Samaritan isn't a name. It's just a dude from the city of Samaria, tied to the Jewish Samaritan community who got a bad rap back then. Jesus used him as an example of unexpected kindness. Even if Al-Samri from the Quran is linked to Samaria too, his name's a whole different deal. It's part of who he is. Just wanted to shut down any confusion on that front. Now, let's get to the stickier stuff. The Torah's take on the golden calf. Unlike the Quran, it doesn't mention Samri or Al-Samri at all. Instead, it pins the blame for making the calf on Prophet Aaron, peace be upon him, straight up falsely accusing him. Here's how the Torah tells it. Here's the deal with the golden calf in the Torah, straight from Exodus 32. After Moses, peace be upon him, climbed Mount Sinai to get the tablets from Allah, the Israelites were left chilling in the plains under Aaron's watch, peace be upon him. The people got antsy and straight up demanded Aaron make them a god to worship. So he collected their bling, melted it down, and crafted a golden calf, saying, "This is your God, Israel, who brought you out of Egypt." Exodus 32:4. The crowd went wild, worshipping the calf and offering sacrifices, which seriously ticked off Allah, or God. When Moses came down and saw the mess, he smashed the tablets, burned the calf, ground it to dust, and made the Israelites drink it. Allah's punishment was no joke. Moses was ordered to take out the guilty, and 3,000 men got cut down by the sword. Exodus 32:28. Now, who were the ringleaders? Aaron, peace be upon him, was under pressure and helped make the calf. But he wasn't the main instigator. He just buckled. But Torah doesn't name the key troublemakers in this scene, But some Jewish traditions, like the Talmud and Midrash, point to folks like Miriam, Moses' sister, or Hur, Aaron's nephew, as objectors who got killed. Others, like Dathan, Abiram, and Korah, pop up in a different rebellion, in Numbers 16, not the calf story, though some scholars try to connect the dots. Korah, from the tribe of Levi, led a crew against Moses and Aaron's authority, and the earth split open and swallowed them. Numbers 16, 31-33. Dathan and Abiram, from Reuben's tribe, were also in that mix. Now, about the Torah's versions. The Masoretic text, used by Jews in Israel today, is the official Hebrew vibe, polished between the 6th and 10th centuries. It's close to the core story, but has some fine-tuned details in Jewish interpretations, like the Talmud. The Septuagint, the Greek version for Eastern Orthodox churches, has minor translation differences, like the word make in Exodus 32:1. The Samaritan version, used by the Samaritan community, sticks to the same main plot with slight tweaks. Protestant and Catholic versions, based on Latin or English translations like the Vulgate or King James, don't shift the big events, but vary in wording. Bottom line, the core story's the same across all versions, with small differences in translation or interpretation. The calf's troublemakers aren't named in Exodus, but later rebellions in Numbers call out Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Israel today rolls with the Masoretic Hebrew text for Jewish studies and synagogues. Christians there, especially Orthodox, might use the Septuagint or other translations. There's no direct link in Exodus 32 tying Dathan, Abiram, or Korah to the calf chaos. Jewish traditions like the Midrash tie them to a separate revolt in Numbers 16, where they challenged Moses and Aaron's priestly authority and got swallowed by the earth. Some scholars guess a loose connection based on their rebellious vibes, but that's just a theory, not hard text. All right, truth seekers, let's break it down scientifically and no BS, comparing the Quran and Torah on the golden calf drama, zeroing in on the key points. The Quran's version, Surah Al-Baqarah 2:51-54 and Surah Taha 20:83-97, puts Al-Samri front and center as the main instigator, the guy who crafted the calf and sparked the chaos, while totally clearing Aaron, peace be upon him, of any real involvement. The Torah, in Exodus 32, paints Aaron as caving under pressure from the crowd to make the calf, with no mention of Al-Samri at all. Jewish interpretations, like the Talmud, don't name specific troublemakers in Exodus 32, which some see as a shady way of clouding the truth. This backs up the Quran's story, which drops a clear name, Al-Samri, and lays out a tight, cohesive narrative. The Jewish tradition's troublemakers only pop up in later commentaries, not in divine revelation, unlike the Quran, which is straight-up revelation from Allah or God, spelling everything out crystal clear. Here's a bonus. Scientifically, the Quran's clarity in naming Al-Samri as the ringleader stands out, while the Torah leans hard into collective guilt for the Israelites, which feels like a deliberate dodge. If someone tries to pin a crime on a whole group without naming names, that's straight-up deception, legally and morally shady. That kind of dodge, called tadlis or deception, involves tossing out vague or misleading info to duck responsibility. By blaming a crowd instead of individuals, it muddies the waters and makes accountability tough. You could call it procrastination if the goal's just delaying the heat, but Tadlis nails it for active deceit. Now, falsely accusing a prophet like Aaron of lying or pinning a crime on him? That's straight-up slander, or buhtan, in ethical and theological terms. a nasty form of tadlis meant to trash a sacred figure's rep. In a religious context, that's some serious moral corruption, a direct challenge to Allah and an attack on his prophets, targeting the whole vibe of prophethood or questioning the divine message. In Islam, for example, slandering prophets is a major sin because it messes with their divine protection. Another note, in a theological lens like the calf story, if a text like Exodus 32 pushes collective guilt without naming instigators, it's seen as tablis in a precise courtroom-style narrative. Picture a hypothetical trial for the calf case. The evidence comes from sacred texts. The Quran, Al-Baqarah 251-54, Taha 2083-97, names Al-Samri as the culprit and clears Aaron, lining up with the theological logic of prophets being divinely protected. Exodus 32, though, shows Aaron involved with no clear instigator, which is weaker. From a scientific theological angle, the Quran's clarity and consistency make it the stronger case for protecting prophets' integrity. So when we stack the Torah against the Quran, the truth hits hard and clear. The Quran straight up names Al-Samri as the mastermind behind the golden calf chaos, the main instigator who crafted it and rallied the crowd. The Torah, though, blames the Israelites as a group, saying Aaron, peace be upon him, just went along and made the calf, hiding the real culprit and pinning the rap on a prophet of Allah or God. The Quran says Al-Samri gathered the gold, tossed it in the fire to melt it, and used the trace of the messenger to bring it to life. The Torah? It falsely sticks the blame on Prophet Aaron, peace be upon him, through distortion and tampering to cover for the true criminal. The Quran calls out Al-Samri for telling the Israelites the calf was their God and Moses' God, claiming Moses forgot and went astray. The Torah, twisted by deception, claims Aaron, peace be upon him, said the calf was their God, putting words of disbelief and idol worship in a prophet's mouth. That's not just slander. It's a deliberate attack on Allah's divine essence, slapping lies and blasphemy on a prophet with a massive stature to drag down the respect for prophets in people's hearts. It's like the real culprit hated prophets, saw himself above them, and dared to challenge Allah Almighty. The Quran clears Prophet Aaron, peace be upon him, of making the calf or pushing disbelief, showing he warned the Israelites to obey Allah and him, but they got stubborn, arrogant, and ganged up on him. Fearing division and chaos, he stayed quiet. The Torah, though, after being messed with, falsely pins the crime on him. May Allah protect us from such lies. The Quran also drops a bombshell. This cursed Al-Samri was granted a divine power by Allah to choose who gets close to him, walking through life, picking his inner circle, his masons, if you will. No, touching. La, Masa's masons for him. The Quran confirms Al-Samri has a destined showdown he can't skip. Wonder what's that about? Who's it with? Could it be tied to the Messiah's second coming? Will this cursed dude be unable to outrun or dodge Jesus, the Messiah? That's a question to chew on till we dig deeper later. Meanwhile, the Torah, after Al-Samri and his crew tampered with its verses, says nothing about him, his no-touch power, or his fated meeting. So, we're closing the book on this, exposing the flaws in the Jewish tradition's take on the calf, compared to the rock-solid, divine revelation in Surah Taha, which lays it all out in detail. The final verdict? Al-Samri, or Samri, messed with the Torah's original texts, erased himself completely from the calf story, hid his accomplices, and had his theological cronies in Moses' law slip their names into later interpretations, as we've seen. But he didn't stop there. He twisted the Torah's verses to pin the calf-making crime on Prophet Aaron, peace be upon him. Now, here's the tea. This guy, Al-Samri, was so full of himself, obsessed with leaving his mark on everything, that he couldn't just erase himself from the Torah completely. Instead, he cooked up a story, a whole incident, where he could flex as a big-shot challenger to Moses, peace be upon him. He's got a thing for throwing down against prophets, and we'll see that more as we peel back the layers on this king of deception in this world. For folks into phonetics, linguistics, or dialects, the truth is low-key easy to spot. Dig into the Torah with a sharp eye, and you'll catch a character popping up out of nowhere, no intro, named Zimri, son of Salu. Here's the quick rundown on his clash with Moses, so we can piece it together and draw some conclusions, just like we did last episode with Surah Taha's verses. Zimri, son of Salu, is tagged as a bigwig from the tribe of Simeon. After the Israelites bailed from Egypt and were wandering in the Sinai, some started worshipping idols and hooking up with Midianite women from a pagan crew. Zimri straight up brought a Midianite woman named Cosbi, daughter of Zur, right in front of everyone, flexing hard against Moses' warnings. Numbers 25:6. Phinehas, son of Eleazar and Aaron's grandson, saw the disrespect, followed Zimri and Cosbi to their tent, and took them out with a spear through both their bodies. That move stopped a plague Allah, or God, sent to punish the Israelites, which had already dropped 24,000 people. Allah praised Phinehas for his zeal, granting him and his descendants a covenant of peace and a permanent priesthood. Numbers 25:10-13. As for Zimri's end, he and Cosbi got taken out by Phinehas, becoming a cautionary tale. The story's in Numbers 25, a warning against rebellion and moral corruption. The Torah doesn't dive deep into Zimri's lineage, just calling him Zimri, son of Salu, a leader of a Simeonite family, Numbers 25:14, with no extra details. Some Jewish traditions, like the Talmud, say he was a high roller, but there's no full family tree. In short, Zimri openly rebelled by committing a brazen sin with a Midianite woman. Phinehas shut it down with righteous fury. His chaos ended with his death, and the Israelites were saved from the plague. All right, truth seekers, let's break down some key takeaways from this story. First up, the names Zimri and Al-Samri. Are they from the same root, the same source? Let's do a quick phonetics dive. Zimri, Zamri in Arabic, is built from three root letters, Z, M, R. Sound-wise, it starts with a voiced Z, a toothy sound, followed by M, nasal, lippy, and R, a soft, rolling trill. Its vibe follows a CV-C-CV pattern, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. Al-Samri, Samiri, has four letters, S-A-M-R-I. It kicks off with an unvoiced S, toothy like Z, then a long A, followed by M, R, and ends with a long I. Its pattern is CV-CV-CV. What's the overlap? Both names share M and R in the same order, and both rock nasal, M, and soft, R sounds. But they're not twins. Zimri starts with a voiced Z, while Al-Samri uses an unvoiced S. Close, since they're both toothy sounds. Zimri's shorter, 3 syllables, versus Al-Samri's 4, and Zimri ends with a short vowel, while Al-Samri raps with a long E. Quick take. I'm thinking this difference is no accident. This dude's slick enough to tweak the pronunciation, keeping the core letters but flipping the sound just enough to dodge suspicion. Now, etymology. In the Torah, Numbers 25:14, Zimri, Hebrew, might tie to the Hebrew root zamar, meaning to sing or play music. It's slapped on a guy who led a rebellion or sinned big. Al-Samri in the Quran, Taha 20:85-97. If the golden calf's main instigator, possibly linked to Samaria, a place or tribe, or the root samar, storytelling, night chats. Funnily enough, Both Hebrew and Arabic vibes tie to entertainment or storytelling. Linguistically, there's no direct root connection between Zamar and Samar in Semitic languages, but the M and R overlap, and the Z to S switch, a common Semitic sound swap, make you wonder. The pronunciation, Zamar versus Samar, feels too close to be random, you feel me? Contextually, Zimri in Numbers 25 isn't tied to the calf, but to a scandal with Midianite women, making a narrative link to Al-Samri a stretch. Al-Samri's the calf's big bad in the Quran, a central player. The sound similarity might hint at name swapping or distortion in oral traditions. Some Islamic theological theories float that Torah names like Zimri could be warped versions of Al-Samri, but that's a theological guess, not a hard linguistic fact. Another thing, per the story, Zimri, son of Salu, has no clear lineage, just tagged as a Simeon tribe leader. Some interpretations call him a big shot, and, check this, some Jewish takes hype up Dathan, saying he was a top dog among the Israelites in Egypt, cozying up to priests and Pharaoh. Is this random hyping of Dathan or Zimri pointing to someone else? On top of that, the Torah story kills off Zimri quick, shutting down his tale with no preamble or follow-up. Tied only to rebellion, something this guy loves flexing, always showing off as a rebel against Allah or God and his prophets, especially with that adultery stunt. But here's the wild part. Something Jewish and Christian scholars totally slept on. Moses, peace be upon him, never set execution as a punishment for hooking up with Midianite women in this crisis. Yet someone, Phinehas, took it upon himself to judge, sentence, and execute Zimri and his lover, without a direct order from Allah or Moses. The excuse? Phinehas was zealous for Allah's faith and stopped the sin with his own hands. Tying Phinehas to Aaron's lineage adds a holy glow to the act, and then it's framed as Allah's approval, granting Phinehas divine favor and priesthood status. This guy judged, ruled, and killed without checking with Allah's prophet or a divine command. The story ends Zimri and his lover's lives to wrap up all loose ends, locking the narrative tight so no one questions it. All right, truth seekers, we've landed on a crystal clear conclusion. Al-Samri, or Samri from Surah Taha, ain't just some random dude. He's the Dajjal, the Antichrist, the cursed one-eyed guy who's been granted a long life on Earth, never aging, always looking young. This is the man whose origin story is wild. Iblis slipped into his father's seed during a moment with his mother while she was on her period, leading to a pregnancy so rare, it's one of a kind in the whole world, birthing this accursed figure. We'll spill more tea on his parents' story in the upcoming episodes, so stay tuned. Before we bounce, here's a quick question to chew on till next time. This whole Semitism and anti-Semitism thing, is it really about Sam, son of Noah, peace be upon them, and his descendants? Or is there another angle, another Sam? Could it be tied to Al-Samri? Let that marinate till we link up for the next episode. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss a drop. Show us some love with your comments and thoughts, and keep up with us on our socials. Links are in the description. Share these episodes with your crew and anyone chasing the truth. Catch y'all next time.